What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another Detroit Lions video. Now, every offseason, the fans of an NFL team and the media surrounding that NFL team always has hot takes that, on what they think that franchise can accomplish any given year. And this video is going to be my hot takes for the Detroit Lions in 2020. We're going to be going over 3 hot takes that I have that I think are very attainable for the Detroit Lions. They're very lofty goals, but I think they're definitely achievable by this Detroit Lions team in the 2020 season, assuming we do play all 16 games. However, before we do get into talking about these hot takes, if you are new to the channel and are enjoying the content, consider liking the videos and subscribing to the channel. It takes 2 seconds out of your day to make mine, and I would be very, very appreciative to everybody that chooses to do so. I do daily content on Lions football, and a lot of the times I'm doing just talking about free agents. So if you're just a fan of football, go ahead and sub to this channel too, because a lot of it is Lions, but when we're talking about free agents, that applies to every single team. So if you are a football fan, make sure you subscribe to this channel. But with that being said, let's get into talking about my hot takes for the Detroit Lions in the 2020 season. As I said, these are going to be hot takes. Like, your screen might be on fire by the end of this, because some of these are, they might seem unrealistic when I say it, but when I back it up with my research, you're going to see that they're fairly attainable by the Detroit Lions. My first hot take: after over 4 years of the Detroit Lions not having a 100-yard rusher from Thanksgiving of 2013 to week 3 of the 2018 season, the Detroit Lions will have 4 different running backs have over 100 yards rushing in a single game. Now, you're going to say that's crazy, right? The Detroit Lions have 4 different running backs have 100-yard games. But if you look at who we have on the roster and what our goal is this year as the Detroit Lions to be a more run-centric football team, it seems pretty attainable. Now, going down the list of who I think is going to get these 100-yard games, Kerryon Johnson, I think, is going to be one. He has had at least 100-yard game in both of his first 2 seasons, so we know that he can do it. He does it quite often, actually, for the Detroit Lions standards. And he's going to get another 100-yard game before he gets injured this season, if he does get injured again. It happens every year. Kerryon Johnson, it explodes in one game and has at least 100 yards, so that's going to happen. DeAndre Swift is a very, very talented rookie running back, and while he's going to be splitting carries with Kerryon Johnson, if Kerryon Johnson does go down, DeAndre Swift is going to get a huge workload, and I believe he is talented enough to get a 100-yard game in the NFL, because he did it numerous times in the SEC against the top competition college football had to offer. Now, Bo Scarborough is the 3rd running back that I think will get a 100-yard game, and I think this happens if Kerryon Johnson gets hurt. Now, Bo Scarborough last year stepped in late into the season. I believe only played in 6 games for the Detroit Lions, but when he did, he was very, very effective. And when he did come in and was the premier back in his 2nd ever game with the Detroit Lions against the Washington Redskins, he was 2 yards away from 100. He had 98 rushing yards on the game and was only, obviously, as I said, 2 away from being another 100-yard rusher for the Detroit Lions. Now, the following week against the Chicago front 7 that is stacked and is very, very good, he had 83 yards, so he was only 17 yards away from a 100-yard rushing performance. So he's been very, very close in the past, and I think that if injuries start stacking up again and we need to lean on Bo Scarborough more and more, he's definitely going to be able to attain that 100-yard mark. And he is a very, very talented back. We saw it last year. I think he's going to make the team this year and have a huge impact on this team, especially if injuries start piling up. And if he is the premier back by the end of the season, don't be shocked if he gets a 100-yard game, just like Kerryon and DeAndre Swift. Now, the 4th player I think will get a 100-yard rushing game is Jason Huntley. Now, Jason Huntley is not going to have a lot of touches. Jason Huntley, most likely in his rookie season, will not have a game with more than 10 touches, and that is receiving and rushing attempts combined. However, Jason Huntley is so good and so explosive that all it takes is one rushing attempt to get 70 yards, 80 yards, and take it to the house for a touchdown. And when you get 80 yards on one carry, all you need is to average like 4 or 5 yards a carry on the next, 4 or 5 runs. Like, he is so explosive that I think there's going to be one game this year that, he comes in for a couple plays and he breaks a couple really, really big runs and gets to that 100-yard mark, being the 4th running back in the Detroit Lions organization in the 2020 season to reach that 100-yard mark. I think all of these running backs are very capable of doing it. I think these running backs are very, very talented. I think all of them will get to 100 yards at least one game in the 2020 season. But don't just look at the running back talent. Look at who we're playing. In the 2020 NFL season, we played the Washington football team, who last year had the 31st rushing defense in the NFL. We played the Jacksonville Jaguars, who had the 28th rushing defense in the NFL. We played the Carolina Panthers, who had the 29th rushing defense in the NFL. We played the Arizona Cardinals, who had the 24th rushing defense in the NFL, and the Green Bay Packers, who had the 23rd. So we played 5 teams that their best, and we play 5 teams that were a bottom 9 rushing team last year as far as yardage. So it's not like we're playing a bunch of stacked defenses on the run, or we're not playing a lot of stacked defensive lines that stop the running game tremendously, right? We're playing we're playing the football team, we're playing the Jaguars, we're playing the Cardinals, we're playing the Panthers. All of these teams gave up a lot of rushing yards last year, and playing in these games, obviously we played the Packers twice, so that's even 6 games that we're playing a team that had a bottom 20, was at best 23rd in the NFL in rushing yards allowed. So we're playing poor rushing defenses this year, and with our commitment to the run game and Bob Quinn's commitment and Darrell Bell's commitment to the run game this year, I think it's very attainable that at least 4 running backs in the Detroit Lions organization get a 100-yard rushing game. Now, moving on to my second hot take. I believe that Kenny Galilei will break the Detroit Lions franchise record for receiving touchdowns in an NFL season. Now, last season, Kenny Gallaudet, as we know, had a fantastic season. He had 65 receptions for 1,190 yards and 11 touchdowns while leading the NFL in receiving touchdowns. Now, Kenny Gallaudet was targeted 116 times last season and had a 5.2 drop percentage. Now, you might say, 116 targets and only 65 catches, that's not very good. That's like a 50% catch rate. But at the same time, just because Kenny Gallaudet was targeted doesn't mean that target was accurate. It doesn't mean that he had even an opportunity to catch it. If the quarterback throws it in Kenny Gallaudet's direction, but he overthrows Kenny Gallaudet by 5 yards, that's still a target to Kenny Gallaudet, but he never had an opportunity to actually make the catch. If the quarterback's throwing it out of bounds, but it's in Kenny Gallaudet's direction, that is still technically going down as a target for Kenny Gallaudet, but again, he doesn't have the opportunity to catch it. So if you look at drop percentage, 5.2 is not very bad. I believe he only dropped 6 passes in the entire NFL season last year, which is not very bad for a wide receiver that honestly doesn't get a lot of separation on his routes and makes a lot of contested catches. Only dropping 6 passes is a very, very solid stat line. Now, Kenny Gallaudet, as I said, had 116 targets last year, and he had that while playing with backup quarterbacks for over half the season. Kenny Gallaudet had some of the worst quarterback play in the NFL for 8 games of the NFL season. Him and Matthew Stafford, the connection last year was fantastic. I mean, he had touchdown after touchdown after touchdown after touchdown. Like, it just seemed every game he was getting 1, 2, and maybe even 3 touchdowns a game, and he was just taking over football games. And then Matthew Stafford got hurt. His production dipped a little bit. However, he still was able to stay at a relatively similar pace and obviously ended the season leading the league in touchdowns. Now, if Matthew Stafford stays healthy for a whole year and that connection stays the same or even grows better, him and Kenny Gallaudet are going to be on the same page. And Matthew Stafford is going to throw more catchable balls than David Blau and Jeff Driscoll. Matthew Stafford's a better quarterback than Jeff Driscoll and David Blau. He's going to throw more catchable balls. He's not going to overthrow Kenny Gallaudet by 5 yards every time. He's not going to, underthrow Kenny Gallaudet. He's not going to lead Kenny Gallaudet. He's not going to throw it out of bounds where Kenny Gallaudet has no chance to get it. He's going to give Kenny more catchable footballs, and Kenny Gallaudet is going to have more receptions next year, and with more receptions and more opportunities comes more touchdowns, and Kenny Gallaudet was only 5 away last year. Kenny Gallaudet was 5 touchdowns away, and Matthew Stafford leaning on Kenny Gallaudet more this year, he's going to have an opportunity to break Calvin Johnson's franchise record, and I believe that it is going to happen this year. Now, another thing is, in the interview yesterday with our offensive coordinator, Darrell Bevell said he wanted Kenny Gallaudet to be that number 1 receiver. He quoted that you want him to be thought of as one of those upper echelon guys. He wants Kenny Gallaudet to be up there with the Michael Thomases, the DeAndre Hopkins, the Julio Joneses of the world. He wants him to be up there, and he's going to give Kenny Gallaudet every opportunity to do so. And I mean, he's gonna create plays that make Kenny Gallaudet the first read. He's going to create plays that give Kenny Gallaudet the best opportunity to have a fantastic season. And with that, there are going to come more touchdowns. Kenny Gallaudet is going to have more touchdowns this year, I believe, with a healthy Matthew Stafford and an increased workload. It's only a matter of time before Kenny Gallaudet breaks this record, and I do believe that it'll happen in the 2020 season if we play in all 16 games. Now, the third hot take that I have this season. So the third hot take that I have for this 2020 season is that the Detroit Lions pass rush is going to finish in the top 10 in sack production this season. Now you're going to say I'm crazy because last year we had 28 sacks and we had 28 sacks, ranking 29th in the NFL. However, this year, going into the NFL season, we have a healthy Trey Flowers. Last offseason, Trey Flowers had shoulder surgery right before the season started, and that got him off to a slow start, and he wasn't really the same player until around week 5 when we played the Packers, and that is when he truly became dominant and started dominating his one-on-one blocks and really pressuring the quarterback at an elite level. He's coming in fully healthy. He's not going to have shoulder surgery. He's not going to come in banged up. He's going to come in 100% healthy, ready to go get the pass rush. He's ready to go get Mitch Trubisky or Nick Foles on week 1, and I think he will have a double-digit sack season. And we move on to Deshaun Hand, another guy that was out all season last year. He played in 3 games, and when he played in those games, I don't even think he was 100% healthy. Like, he had some injury concerns last year. In my opinion, we should have just kept him out the whole season, let him, recuperate, let his body heal up, get better, and have him come back in the 2020 season. And this year, I think that he will come back in the 2020 season hungry for sacks because he missed most of last season. He's going to come back hungry, healthy, and ready to go. I mean, Deshaun Hand, we saw in his rookie season, he showed so many flashes of being an elite and dominant pass rusher in the NFL. Last year, he had some injury problems, but he's going to come back healthy and hungry, and he's ready to go get the pass rusher. And him and Trey Flowers being running mates are going to help the Detroit Lions pass rush immensely. Then we get on to our new addition, or our new acquisition in the defensive line room, and that is Danny Shelton, the interior defensive tackle from the New England Patriots. Now, we all saw in 2018 when Snacks was playing at an elite level how good the linebackers played. The linebackers, like Jared Davis had 6 sacks, all the linebackers were playing much, much better, and our pass rush was a lot better than last season. Then Snacks' play dropped, and Mike Daniels' play, and then we brought in Mike Daniels, and his play wasn't very good, and Jared Davis and the other linebackers looked really, really bad. Now, Danny Shelton is going to play better than Snacks Harrison. He's going to play more like the 2018 Snacks, where he's opening up holes, he's commanding double teams, and he's allowing the linebackers to get free shots at the quarterback and free shots at the running back. I don't know how many sacks he himself is going to get, but he is going to open up so many lanes. He's going to give other players so many opportunities to win one-on-ones, to have those one-on-ones and win those one-on-ones, to get sacks, to get pressures on the quarterback, and to force mistakes and help our secondary out as well as our defensive line. He is the most important player on this defensive line right now because if he can play well and command double teams in the middle, that's going to give Trey Flowers and the rest of the edge rushers their one-on-ones, and that's going to leave linebackers ready to shoot gaps and get a clean shot on the quarterback like Jared Davis did in 2018 when he looked like a first-round linebacker. And then we get on to Julian Okwara, the third-round rookie who I believe is going to start in the Jack role and take over for Devon Kennard. He has such a high ceiling that, he's just going to use his athletic traits to win his one-on-one matchups. As I said, if Danny Shelton's playing well, Julian Okwara is going to have one-on-one matchups with the right tackle, and he's going to win those more than he's not. Like, if you look at college, him against the elite tackles of the NFL, he moved around. He moved from left to right side of the offensive line. But when he was going up against Georgia and Andrew Thomas, he won his fair share of those battles, and Andrew Thomas was the 4th overall pick in the NFL. He played some good offensive linemen this past season and won his fair share of matchups. And I think that, I truly think that, and I even think that, some of the offensive linemen that he played at Notre Dame are better than some of the guys he's going to be playing in the NFL. I really think that he played against some elite offensive line talent last year, especially in the Georgia game, and he won his fair share of those battles. And I think, 2 first-round offensive linemen from Georgia went off the board, and some of those guys are better than what he's going to be facing in the NFL. So I think he's going to take over and take a huge step right away in the NFL, and he is going to take over that Devon Kennard role and might even be better than Devon Kennard was last year for the Detroit Lions. Then we get on to the linebackers, right? The pass rushing linebackers, the linebackers that are going to rush the passer. First, we got Jamie Collins in free agency, who had 7 sacks last season, which would have been tied for most in the NFL, or which would have been tied for most on the Detroit Lions roster. But Jamie Collins had the most sacks by an off-ball linebacker in the NFL last season. He had a great pass rush win rate. He had so many pressures, so many sacks, so many turnovers forced. He's going to add to the linebacking core as far as coverage and big play ability, but he's also going to add to the pass rush, as I guarantee Matt Patricia sends him on blitzes a lot more. I guarantee that Matt Patricia is going to send Jamie Collins and let Jamie Collins do what he does best, and he is going to add to this pass rush just as much as a guy like Julian Okwara, just as much as a guy like Trey Flowers did last year. Jamie Collins is going to add that much more to the pass rush, and he's going to help and make our pass rush unit elite. And then we get on to Jared Davis, Mr. JD. If he does get playing time and the Detroit Lions find a unique role for him, I think he's going to get back to his 2018 form. I already mentioned Danny Shelton's impact on that, right? If Danny Shelton is commanding double teams, Jarrett Davis is going to have a clean shot at the quarterback. And in 2018, he had 6 sacks. He looked like a first-round linebacker, and he looked very, very good. He looked like he figured out the NFL. And then when his defensive line play in front of him dropped, his play looked much, much worse. So I think if the defensive line is playing, if Trey Flowers and Danny Shelton and Deshaun Hand are all playing better, Jarrett Davis is going to look like his 2018 self. He's going to look that much better, and he just bulked up and added so much muscle to him that he's going to look even better next year. And I think he is going to get back to that 2018 form where he might even have 6 sacks on top of all the guys like Trey Flowers and Danny Shelton and Julian Okwara and Deshaun Hand and Jamie Collins. I think all those guys are going to eat next season because they're all going to be helping each other out, and especially Danny Shelton taking on double teams. He's going to leave Trey Flowers one-on-one, and Trey Flowers wins those one-on-ones all the time. He's going to give linebackers free shots at the quarterback. He's going to give Julian Okwara his one-on-ones. Julian Okwara is going to win those. Romeo Okwara is going to get some opportunity. I think he's going to win some one-on-one matchups, and I truly think that this pass rush is going to get back to being elite. And then, you know, we look at all of our guys, but then look at the offensive lines we play. We play the Carolina Panthers, who allowed the most sacks in the NFL last season. We play the Tennessee Titans, who allowed the second most sacks in the NFL last season. We played the Atlanta Falcons, who were tied for the most sacks allowed that season. We played the Arizona Cardinals and the Washington Football Team, who also were tied with the Atlanta Falcons for the 5th most sacks allowed last season. We played the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who had the 11th most sacks allowed last season. And we played the Bears twice, who had the 12th most sacks allowed last season. So we play a lot of really poor offensive lines, and I know some of them got some new players. I know like the Buccaneers drafted a first-round offensive tackle. I know that, you know, the Cardinals got a good offensive tackle. I mean, it's just we play a lot of really poor pass-protecting offensive lines this year, and with all of our additions on the front 7 and you know in our pass rush, I think our pass rush is going to take a huge step forward and will be a top 10 unit in the NFL next season. So those are my hot takes for the NFL season. Do you think any of them are realistically going to happen? Do you believe Kenny Gallaudet will break the franchise record? Do you think we will have 4 running backs break 100 yards? Or do you think our pass rush will be a top 10 unit next year? Let me know that down in the comments below, along with any hot takes you have for this 2020 season, assuming we play in all 16 games. With that being said, though, that is all I have for you guys today. I hope you guys enjoyed the video and have an absolutely fantastic rest of your day. As I said, leave your hot takes down in the comments down below because I'm really interested to see what you guys think is going to happen this season. But that is all I have for you guys today. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will see all of you tomorrow with another Detroit Lions video. Bye, guys.